here. And as you're coming in, if you'll mute yourself, please, and we'll spend a few minutes here. So many cool things coming in. Katie wanted to be a librarian. I love that. Another librarian. Look at that. It does just seem like a peaceful job. You just around the books. A teacher, Kylie, thank you. Welcome. You cycled through a lot of things, Legita. Astronaut, physicist, jockey, nurse. That's fantastic. Debbie wanted to be a lawyer, an archaeologist. I thought about that too, Kate. A stewardess. A lot of that's awesome. A veterinarian, a nurse, a zoologist. Very cool. Astronomer, wanting to work in a zoo. Biologist, orthopedic surgeon, own a bed and breakfast. What a variety, Jessica. That's awesome. A veterinarian. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of helping professions. And welcome to all who are coming in. We're just introducing ourselves and we're chatting more about what job you wanted to have as a kid. I cycled through this question last week on another meeting I was leading, and I was joking that for some reason I thought a marine biologist was like one of the top jobs that people had. Like I thought, oh, you know, like police officers, teachers, marine biologists, that's just like part of life, right? And I really wanted to be a marine biologist and move to one of the Carolinas. That was my goal. I remember it so well. I appreciate you all sharing, and feel free to keep adding some things to the chat. It's fun to learn more about each other as we go through and share some updates. So for our agenda today, we're going to go through and just do some updates around SNAC, and we'll go through and offer an opportunity for you all to share what your organization's doing to the group. And then we have a presentation from our SNAP Ed grantee organization, Let Us Learn. So Katie Davidson is a community wellness coordinator here with the Purdue Extension Nutrition Education Program, and she works with Miss Gina Brown and the Let Us Learn group. So they're going to share a little bit more about what they're working on. And then we'll end with some announcements and reminders. So for those who are newer to these meetings or maybe to the group, the Indiana State Nutrition Action Committee exists as part of the SNAP Ed program here in Indiana. It is the educational piece of the SNAP program, and our vision is we envision a statewide food system that supports the health and well-being of every person through equitable access to nutritious foods. So we do that by partnering with a lot of local organizations and coordinating to ensure that things are shared widely across Indiana, whether that be around food systems or supporting physical activity. And we specifically focus on those who are limitedly resourced and who have been historically oppressed. So that is what our group works on. And what we've been doing over the past year is offering monthly newsletters, sharing stuff on social media, offering these quarterly meetings, and then we also have been doing a webinar series. So we'll talk more about kind of the updates with that, but if you're newer to the group, that's what we've been working on. And if you have any questions as we go through, please just stop me and let me know. Enter things into the chat. All right, so we're going to move here with some announcements. So we're going to start with a DNPA team announcement, go through our webinar series and our SNAC website and social media. So I did want to mention to start off, it's with a bittersweet heart that I would like to announce that I am going to be departing from the Department of Health here in the next couple of weeks. I have taken a position with IU Bloomington and going to be pursuing a PhD. So I wanted to let you all know. And as we go through here, we're going to be talking about what that means in terms of SNAC and kind of how things are moving along. But I'm super excited and also sad to be leaving everyone. But I'm excited for the next step and would be happy to stay in contact with all of you, and I'll send out some more information in the minutes as well. But I did want to start with that because it would have been really hard for me to keep that in the whole meeting. And thank you so much, guys, for your kindness. I appreciate it. So as we move along here, we're going to be talking about our webinar series. So I hope you all have been able to join some or maybe view some of the recordings on the SNAC website. But we've been talking about a lot of different topics. As you can see here, these are all that have been presented throughout July. We had a great presentation last month with the Indiana Arts Commission and the Housing Development Corporation here in Indiana, talking about art and placemaking. So that one was really cool. So if you are interested in that, you can see that on our website. And as we move forward, we do have a webinar for August. At that point, I will no longer be here. My last day is August 18th with the state, but we do have Illinois SNAP-Ed coming in and talking about the SNAP-Ed program in their state. So hopefully that can offer some brainstorming ideas of how the SNAP-Ed program is implemented elsewhere, but they are going to come in and Amy's going to help us with kind of running that webinar. In terms of moving forward with the webinar series, if you all have any ideas or you and your organization would like to present on these last couple of topics here, September through November, please let us know. With me taking a step back, it's going to be a little bit harder to, secure speakers and go through all of that coordination. So we would love to hear if you have any ideas on how to do that. But on our website right now, we're having some issues with uploading things. So hopefully by the end of this week, that issue will be resolved and all of the webinars will be up on the website. So I just did want to make you aware of that. We've been having some website glitches. The social media as well. If you aren't aware, we do have social media. We have Facebook and Instagram, and we try to share things, like things that you all are doing. So if you want to give us a follow, you can tag us, have us share things. We'd love to hear from you. Moving forward, the communication might be a little bit slower with no one being in this position, but Amy and Naima are going to work to communicate anything out via a listserv, via the newsletter. So if there is something specific that you would like to be shared with all of SNAC, please email Amy and she will send that out to our listserv, post it on social media. Just bring that to her attention as we are hiring someone to come into my position and do more communication regularly. All right. I believe that is all of the updates that we have with SNAC. Oh, one more thing I did want to mention with the newsletter. It is a monthly newsletter that we're going to be doing that will continue even as I am moving away from the position. So you can keep a lookout for that. It might be a little shorter. It might be more of sharing emails over time, but we do really want to continue to get that information out to you all. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything you would like to share, as I said, please just let us know. So as we move on to our next part of the meeting, I sent out a request for any organizations that wanted to share and didn't receive anything, but I would love for you all to share if you have anything. So go ahead and come off mute, raise your hand, type in the chat anything that you would like to share with the group. Yes, Legita, go ahead.
Hi, I just want to give a brief update. You may or may not be aware that Wicken Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Programs have moved to an electronic benefit and redemption model this year, and we will be turning on some of the local agency folks in production within the next week.
Wonderful. Thank you, Legita. Does anyone have any questions or anything that's come up around this transition?
Yeah, about 5,000.
Is there, I did not hear who came off mute. Would you like to ask any of those questions? All right, well, if anything comes up, feel free to let Legita know. We'll, as the minutes go out, we'll send out contact information and everything to share that question. Anybody else, any updates for your organization or anything you would like to mention to the group? Yeah.
Hi, this is Emily Bryant. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Emily.
Hi, I apologize. I was in a meeting and now I'm walking around Monument Circle where their Spark folks have music playing. So hopefully you can hear me okay. I just wanted to update. We're working on a lot of Farm Bill work with many of our partners in agriculture. We are meeting this month with almost every member of the delegation to with the Indiana Farm Bureau doing joint events. And obviously we're advocating on the nutrition title. Our big ask is to double the baseline for TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, as well as to double the amount of what they call administration and what Legita knows we call storage and distribution because the food does not cool and move itself. That is the big ask that we have, as well as to please do no harm to SNAP and to continue to fund the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. I know there are a lot of state employees on this call, so asking you all to talk to your members is out of the question, but I'd be happy to pass along actions when we have them. Right now, Congress is on August recess, and so they are in the district. They don't go back until after Labor Day. I don't fully expect that they will get a farm bill passed by the time they were supposed to by September 30. They might get it done by the end of this calendar year. I guarantee they'll get it done by the end of the next calendar year. So there's going to be a lot of time to reach out on those issues. And I'm happy to share. We have a one-pager on what our asks are, as well as there's a Farm Bill primer that I'm happy to send out that talks about what's in the nutrition title, if that would be useful. The other thing I wanted to throw out there is that the ag appropriations bills are making some very serious cuts to WIC. I don't know if anybody mentioned that. I'm trying to figure out who the best folks are who are advocating in that space to sort of follow them. But it's sort of been an unwritten rule for a very long time that in ag appropriations, they don't cut funding that would cut caseload. And what this is proposing would cut caseload more in one bill than the other. And I've got the numbers of how many people that would impact in Indiana that I'd be happy to share with the group when I'm back at my desk. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. I appreciate you hopping on the move. If you do want to send that to me, I'm more than happy to share that out in the minutes as we get those out next week. Awesome. All right. Some good policy updates there. Anybody else have any updates that you think would be helpful for the group to know? All right, if anything comes up, please just let us know, or you can email me and I can get that out as we send out communication next week. So at this point in time, we are going to pass it over to Katie and Gina to talk more about Let Us Learn. So for those of you who are just joining us, we just did updates and we'll send out all of those updates next week in our minutes. But for now, we're going to move over to our spotlight. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'll let Katie start to share.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having us. I'm a Purdue Extension Community Wellness Coordinator, and I today am presenting with Gina Brown from Let Us Learn, which is a group that I work with very regularly and have assisted with a couple of SNAP Ag grants. And so we are super excited to share with you today about. First off, Gina's going to share about what Let Us Learn is and what kind of work Let Us Learn has done historically. And then I'm going to share with you about the SNAP Ag grants that we've received and how those have helped propel us forward. So Gina, I will let you take it away.
Hi. First, I want to thank Julia for having us and giving me an opportunity to tell you a little bit about Let Us Learn. We are a small nonprofit I think we would probably be still considered pretty micro, small, but we are located in New Albany, Indiana, and that is right across the river from Louisville. So we are so close that when those famous 3 minutes, that sporting event, the Derby happens, everything kind of closes down for a little bit. But we became an official nonprofit at the end of 2016, and our last 3 years, our mission has really honed, really completely on helping our families have access to healthy food. And when I say families, I really include elderly folks in that, because they have really been an integral part of what we've been doing, especially lately. Our program focuses on education, gleaning, gardening, and partnerships with farmers, and we donate produce in our community. Sorry, I just lost the screen for some reason. So our main programs are just a couple of things. There are school gardens that we have, and we now have them in all of our Title I schools in Floyd County. So that will all have a school garden. We also have 2 other school gardens that are outside of the New Albany area. We have a gleaning program that we work with the New Albany farmers who are at the farmers market, and we've been doing that almost from the very beginning, and we're actually really from the very beginning. And we have volunteers who have been gleaning for us for the last 3 years, and they've been able to develop relationships with those farmers that they don't even have to carry a wagon around. Those farmers save things for them just to donate to us. We have a program called Veggie Rescue, which is our gleaning program. And through that program, this year alone, we've been able to donate over 1,500 pounds since May of produce. And we're expanding that program a little bit we have 3 farmers that are going to be growing just specifically for us. In fact, we've got a team of us that are going to pick green beans tomorrow. And through another grant, we're going to be able to pay them a little something as well. One of the things I did want to say that through this grant that we've been able to have, the last 2 grants that you all have been able to offer us, we've been able to really elevate our programming. So our curriculum has, the school system here sees us as part of their curriculum, and we were even asked at the end of the year for our program educator, Heather Sweeney, to do in-school programming at another school. So we either have after-school clubs that the kids participate, or we have in-school programming that we actually come into the schools every other week. So that's really been just really helpful to me personally, that I know that she's got it taken care of, and the educators there and the administrative staff love her. The other thing that's really been able to help us with is we have a volunteer manager, Dulcie Willis, she started in January. She actually began as a volunteer with us in the summer of 2017. So she's been with us that long. And she, through this grant, we've been able to help her and, she's been able to help us. And we've got 37 now volunteers, and 29 of those volunteers donate their time to us more than twice a month. So, we're really super excited. One of the programs that they work with is our newest program is called Breaking Bread and Barriers Meal Prep Class. And my background is in food. And so what we do is we take 4 or 5 participants. We have them in our kitchens for 6 weeks, and we meal prep with them on a Monday night. through that program. We started that in January, and we've been able to give out over 1,300 home meals. So we're very excited about that. We're especially now this time of the year because we're getting so much produce. It's kind of fun to bring in new stuff. We've got garlic that is still curing a little bit. So a lot of them have never seen fresh garlic, or we are able to bring in something like a turnip, you know, and teach them about, you know, how to utilize that produce. So I'm really thankful for the funding that we've been able to receive, and I'm going to throw it back to Katie because I get a little nervous. I can talk in front of a group of students all day long, but sometimes I get a little nervous in front of a group like this. But she knows our programming inside and out, and she's done more than just a little bit for us. She has helped us write grants, but she's also our board secretary, and couldn't do any of this without her. So I'll let you take it from here, Katie.
Thanks, Gina. I love working with Let Us Learn. They're one of my biggest partners, so the feeling is mutual for sure. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our growth, because when I came on with Let Us Learn, and I'm sorry I'm looking off to the side, my screens are not lining up in an ideal way, so I'm kind of not looking at the screen that my computer is on, my camera is on, but I came on with Let Us Learn in 2020, so I had just become a community wellness coordinator, and I just found that Let Us Learn really aligned well with the nutrition education program's goals and values, and I ended up becoming the board secretary for Let Us Learn at a point when we were really starting to see some needs due to COVID that just massively expanded kind of the scope and the breadth of the work that Let Us Learn does. So around that time, we started getting more grant funds to grow our programming. We started growing kind of rapidly, and in the phases of nonprofit growth, you have periods of growing really fast and then periods of needing to find sustainability. And so we've kind of done that. We've grown really fast. We've gotten a lot bigger. Our impact is a lot more significant than it was a few years ago. But in, I would say, late 2021, early 2022, we started having conversations about, like, we've grown rapidly because of some like great things like some COVID relief grants that were helping us feed people and things like that. And how do we sustain this growth going forward? So in 2022, we wrote a SNAP grant. I'm just going to check my slides and see if, yeah. In 2022, we wrote a SNAP grant that helped us expand in several ways. So it helped us pay Gina, our first full-time employee, a full-time wage, and it helped us hire some part-time folks, which was new. So it created, I think that grant, it created one part-time job and sustained a part-time job. And so we're coming to the end of spending those funds. That one helped us do, that was a $25,000 grant. We were able to do some board and personnel training through that grant. We were able to travel and see a model similar to what we would dream to be one day, to kind of learn how we can get from here to there, which was highly educational. We went to Raleigh City Farm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it was amazing. Highly encourage you to check them out. We also were able to grow our, I'll go back a slide, these home garden kits. We were able to add, I think by the end of the summer, we will have added 20 home garden kits to our network. We already had, I think about 50, is that right, Gina? Had about 50 of them from the past couple years, and so we were able to add 20 more. So we'll have 70 total by the end of the summer. And we were able to start new garden clubs and sustain those. We've had the money to pay for that programming through that first grant. So then, as the second SNAP Ed grant application came out, which was this spring, I believe, they're all running together a little bit, but this spring, the SNAP Ed grant came out, and we were really thinking towards like, okay, we are just like 24/7 doing grant applications. And it feels really hard and overwhelming for our executive director to be, she's trying to do the programming, she's trying to make all these different events work, and also write grants all the time. So we're really thinking about how can we make our programming sustainable, and how can we take some things off her shoulders so that she can focus on increasing our fundraising in other ways and more sustainable ways. So we were awarded a $50,000 SNAP Ed grant the second time around, and that has been purely for staffing costs. And that basically covered our staffing through the end of this year for Gina, for our full-time employee. It allowed us to hire a program assistant to keep on a program assistant who is now teaching all of our in-school and after-school programs part-time. And then it allowed us to make our volunteer coordinator a full-time employee, which has been massive for our growth. So I'll just run through what our 2023 updates are, where we are now that we weren't, places we are now that we weren't before these SNAP Ed grants. We have strategic new programming. So we started that meal prep class that has really been a strategic partnership with the hospital here. It's addressing the needs that they found to be the highest causes of food insecurity, which I never can remember all 4 of them, but knowledge, time, affordability, and there's one more that they found to be the highest in our area. Is it access? I think it's cost, access, time, and knowledge. Yeah, okay, I did it. It's the first time I've remembered all 4 of those. So we worked on that class, and it's really meeting the need of a lot of community members. We were able to start an advisory council, and our volunteer coordinator has been really instrumental in that. So it's just giving kind of a middle of the road commitment level. We have volunteers, we have board members, and we really wanted something in the middle. We learned from Raleigh City Farm that it's really valuable to have kind of a team of experts who aren't expected to attend board meetings and have that much of a commitment, but could still advise us as we move forward. So that's been a really exciting new start. And then, like Gina mentioned, Dulce has grown our volunteer base drastically. So we have 12 new volunteers so far in 2023, which is pretty, we basically doubled our number of volunteers this year. And they've contributed over 900 hours of volunteer work so far this year. So at the, there's a federal rate that we consider volunteer hours to be equal to, which is just under $30 an hour. That's a value of $27,000 in volunteer hours that we have been graciously given through the effort of our volunteer coordinator, who is now full-time. We're also working on finding a forever home. It's one of those things, I know that a lot of community wellness coordinators on the call can sympathize with me that, you look for, if I just had, $5,000 to do this, or if I just had this kind of place, and sometimes those things just come and go. So we've gone through several possibilities of a forever home, and we're still searching for our forever home, but we're continuing to follow those leads, and we're so thankful that Gina has the time to do that thanks to these grants. And then looking forward, the rest of the things that we're focusing on this year, since our funding for staff is covered for the year, we're able to focus on some other things. So the SNAP Ed team is really helping us think through sustainability. So we're working on a sustainability plan, a concrete plan going forward. That's one of our grant deliverables for this grant. We are focusing on scaling up a fundraiser dinner that we had last year that was very fun and successful. I've got this picture here under the word fundraisers was a delicious winter squash recipe. I think it was farro and winter squash that one of our amazing chefs that volunteered their time for our fundraiser dinner made. So we're trying to scale up that event, and we're using some of the information that Raleigh City Farm gave us on that farm visit. And then we're also focusing on a monthly donorship drive. We believe that monthly donors could be a big key to becoming sustainable long-term. So our fundraiser pushes this year are focusing on gaining monthly donors and thinking about for one student, the cost for us to provide all of our services for one student for a whole year is $250, I think we figured out. So how can we convince people to either give a one-time $250 donation or to break that up over a monthly donation all year to cover the cost of a child receiving our services? And then local funding, we want to keep on seeking out that local funding. We've had some great local supporters, but we're hoping that combining these 3 methods will help us be able to be more sustainable and not have to keep seeking out large grants just to get staff time covered for the future. So that's kind of what this grant has led us to and what we've been able to kind of work through and think about as a result of the SNAP grants. They've really helped us consider sustainability. I mean, for the first time. I mean, not for the first time. We've always been thinking about sustainability, but after growing to the extent we did over a few years, these are some new conversations and some new ways of thinking that we're able to explore because of these grants. So I'm very thankful. We've really expanded. Last year, I think by the end of the summer, we gave out just over 2,000 pounds of produce through Veggie Rescue. We've already hit 1,500 this year, and we still have 10 weeks left of that Veggie Rescue program. So we're really excited about that, about how much we're expanding. We're excited to be in new schools, and we're super excited to have that wonderful staff that we've been able to grow as a result of these grants. So I'll open it up for questions if anyone has any questions for Gina or myself.
You know, I think for me, like, you know, we are probably still, I've been talking to some other nonprofit folks, like a friend of mine does development for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and in this field, I think we probably are going to be grant dependent for a little bit. But we just got our monthly donor campaign going. Believe it or not, I'm not web savvy. And so Dulcie and I have watched a lot of YouTube videos, and we finally have that up and running on our website. So I'm super excited. There are 4 levels. And then one thing that I'm working on is I have noticed that even sometimes our board members don't know exactly what we're doing, even though they're in it. You know, we have a working board. And so I'm really going to try to help our champions champion us by giving them like just a little like cheat sheet about what we do and helping them put that into their own words of how we have you know why they volunteer and do what they do for us. And then I'm just going to end this with one story, because we did have an advisory committee meeting this weekend, and one of our volunteers, and she's actually on our board now, her name is Brenda, and her husband Julio and daughter Julie have been the ones who have been our gleaners over the last 3 years. And I've been working with them since 2020, and I had no idea on this story. They came from Nicaragua, and they came here because of political reasons. They basically had to leave in the middle of the night, and both professionals in Nicaragua. And, you know, she talked about the difficulties that they had when they first came here, and then they found out about us, and we were able to give Julie a garden. And that came at a time that they were also working with another nonprofit just to be able to, you know, be able to live, right? Were finding work and all that. And I did not realize that we made such a difference for them, that they were being able to have vegetables that they weren't able to purchase before, and how much of an impact that made in their family. And then they started giving back to us, and they believe it's important to show Julie what it's like to give back to a community that's given to you. And I said something to we're working with really closely with a couple of the farmers, and I said something about them, and the farmer, he said, you know, it's not Brenda and Julio, it's Julie. She works those farmers to get donations from them for us. And so I think it's just one of the things that I really do love about what we do is we really do build a community, and we really do believe in partnerships. I really think that if more nonprofits work together, we would probably be a lot better place, because there's lots of need, and we can do more. I know it sounds cliche, but we can do more if we work together. So, and now, Brenda's on our board. So it's pretty exciting. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to tell a little bit about what we do.
Yeah, we appreciate you all taking the time to share. All right, I have a few questions, but I will wait for a few seconds to see if anyone else wanted to raise their hand or put anything in the chat for Katie and Gina.
Hi, this is Michelle Shippey. I'm with the Marion County Public Health Department. We do nutrition incentive programs here. I was curious when you had mentioned your forever home, what exactly you meant by that in regards to like location or another location, and are you looking to stay within like local or even regional representation? You know, my mind is always around nutrition incentives, and as we continue to build the infrastructure for Double Up Indiana, it's always great to learn about organizations that's doing food work that could be potential contacts and partnerships for like particular regions of Indiana. So I was just really curious on your guys' vision when you had mentioned a forever home.
Yeah, I'll say something and then I'll let Gina answer too. I will say Gina is an incredibly like open-minded individual when it comes to like possibilities. Like I don't think we have thought like, oh, we could be regional yet, but I've never seen someone bring an idea to Gina and her just say, oh, probably not. So I think we would probably be always open to that kind of thing. I think when we've talked about finding a forever home, we have not consistently had the same office space. So we've moved around locations for many different reasons. The last space that we left was due to cost. That was actually a component of our last SNAP Ed grant, was paying the last little bit of our rent last year. And we just determined at the end of the year, you know, we're putting way too much of our budget into rent when we're out in the garden so much. So I think we would love to have a space that could serve multiple functions. Right now, we're operating out of a church that is a church member is paying for us to rent storage space, and then they're allowing us to utilize their health department approved kitchen for meal prep and for classes. We would love to have a space that is our own, that we can have classes in, that we can have office space in, and then we can have growing room in. So finding a space like that in the future would be kind of what we've talked about as a forever home, and it's just not presented itself yet. So we've explored several avenues, but we're still just looking for that spot. And Gina, I'll let you answer that however you'd like as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it well. You know, I never thought about regionally, but that would be pretty awesome. But yeah, you know, when people ask me what we need, and basically I just say exactly what Katie said. You know, it'd be great to be able to offer this Breaking Bread and Barriers class, you know, more than once a week. Because this particular church, it's not my church, but they do a lot of stuff in the community. So that's Monday nights are the only nights that they're open. Some of our participants have, we have a survey at the end, and some of them would like more like one-on-one kind of experience. And so if we had a space that we could do that in, we could offer maybe classes a few times a week. You know, I'm not a person who sits at a desk very often. Even in our old space, I didn't have a desk. And so, you know, that's not the biggest deal, but it's just being able to have a spot that we can meet and that we can grow. We have soon to be 6 school gardens, plus a youth garden, plus a market garden, plus it'll be 70 families that we have given a garden kit. We grow all of the plants and seeds. Not seeds, but we grow all the plants for those gardens, almost every single one. And so that's a lot to have in my living room. If you actually saw the rest of this room, it's time to grow for your fall crop. So here we go. But yeah, so something we would love to have it in a community in an area in New Albany that was high need, that people can just come and pick up produce throughout the week. To have a pay as you can farm stand model. That's one thing we saw in Raleigh. They supply for a pay as you can farm stand, but they also supply food pantries and they supply restaurants as well. So all of those things.
And I'll build off of that with your field trip, if you will. You got a lot from it, and that's amazing. Can you speak a little bit more about the advisory council and what you saw, and then how that has been implemented, how you reached out to people, like your hope as it continues to grow? Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so what we saw in Raleigh, we were trying to think like, how do we grow our board? How do we get more like dedicated? We had a lot of one-time volunteers or a lot of people who would volunteer occasionally, and then we had our board, and we're like, how do we get more involvement? And they really encouraged us to explore the idea of an advisory council because they have found that to be so useful for them. It only meets like twice a year, but they get like great feedback. They get a lot of donors that way. They encouraged us to kind of explore that idea. And we went back and talked and said, like, oh my goodness, we have so many people who tell us they're very passionate about our work, but don't have time to volunteer or don't necessarily love the commitment level of a board. Because we are, like Gina said, a working board, like all of us are very involved. This is not like a once a quarter meeting where we just, show up and vote. Like we're doing work every week. So, we reached out to all those people, we reached out to people who have donated to us regularly. We reached out to other local nonprofit leaders and involved community partners. Those were the kinds of people we reached out to for the advisory council. We also heard from Raleigh City Farm that they use their advisory council as both an on-board and an off-board for their board. That was a sentence with the word board a lot, but they use it to both get potential board members used to the idea, like as a level up of participation before they get to the point of boardship, I guess. But they also use that when people need to come off of the board or feel a little bit overwhelmed by the board to say, here's an option for you. You could be a part of our advisory council and have a little bit less commitment. So all of those things sounded very attractive to us and have so far served as well, I think. Gina, you know a little bit more about the advisory council and how it's going since it started meeting. You could speak to that.
We're still working on keeping folks engaged, and that's, is the biggest thing, especially this time of year when everybody, I don't know about your all school systems, but our kids went back yesterday. And so, so it's just a busy, summer is such a busy time, but so just keeping them engaged. And a lot of the people that are on our advisory council they've given to us before, right? They, in one form or another, they have helped us before. So, and right now our biggest needs are marketing and development, right? And so I think what I'm going to do is kind of do like two offset meetings, like other than the two that we meet in person, and see if we have any interest in those. Sorry about that. Any interest in those? That I'm sorry, that was a farmer telling me that she's got produce for us. But so because those are such two big things that, as a founder and executive director, my talent only goes so far, right? So those are big issues that we, if we, I think, are going to get away from just being so grant dependent, we need to have somebody who understands about other types of development. And I am getting better, I think, at telling our story. Our board chair has said she came on right around when COVID happened as well. But, we are the only organization in our area that serves people, that feeds people through gleaning and gardening, and now through education, right? So I used to be a chef in my other life, and I know that if I do a demo for you and it's too complicated or has too many ingredients or you don't know what something is, that's not going to help you, right? So in our classes, because I really feel like this is really going to be so impactful, is not only do we prep together, but we sit down and we eat a meal together. We build community together. And then they go home with 12 to 16 adult-sized meals for the following week. And I always try to have it produce heavy, have it legume heavy, like good proteins. And so, I know that we are introducing, and we've made some kale lovers and beet lovers. That's not easy to do, but we have, been able to do that. And it's really good work. It's really good work with just finding those avenues where people can help us in ways that we lack, I guess.
Fantastic. That spark any questions? Have one more, but I'll hold on to it if others have questions. Okay. In terms of your education, I know that getting into the schools is a difficult task, and just, providing education with children. Can you speak more about your school programming?
It hasn't been that difficult for us. And I think that's just because, I don't know, the first school that we went into, it was Fairmount Elementary, and it's one of our higher needs schools. It's becoming a bilingual school. And if you go into that school, you'll see on the left-hand side, like a number of flags. And last year, I think there were 16 flags, and that was the different countries where the kids came from. And the staff there was just always really, really supportive, and everything was a yes. And then, that has helped, because that garden is now 7 years old. We have everything from asparagus to a peach tree that was donated to us at one time. We do everything. We even did loofahs one year in that garden. And so that's kind of a nice showcase to have to show folks. And then as far as the kids, when they come in there into the club, they really do. That sounds kind of funny. The kids come into the club, but when they go into the club, they get really hands-on experience. We try not to make our clubs look anything like school. And so, but they're doing math out there when they're doing square foot gardening, and they're learning about nutrition because they're picking tomatoes, and they're able to, have those tomatoes as a snack. But then during the in school, we looked at the school standards for like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, the math and science standards. And Heather does a fantastic job of implementing those into the program. So when we come in, it's not, I think the teachers like us a lot, because when we come in, it's not that we're just giving the teacher a break. The kids are doing real hands-on, real life learning that they can add, to the current programming that they're doing. And then we just take really good care of the gardens. We're really lucky to have such a good relationship with Purdue and the master gardeners, and they are I would love to take you on a tour sometime if y'all are ever in the area, but they are, it's good work. And then I work with a group of students from St. Mary's of the Knobs, and they actually planted about 80% of our market garden this year. So elementary students. And so, they get to learn the lesson that they're planting, and that garden is serving others.
Yeah, and I've seen, those state standards matter for those teachers. It's so important. And I think that I've seen you and Heather, Gina, integrate every single school subject into the garden, which is awesome. Gardening is a really helpful tool, learning tool. So I've seen them do, of course, like math with square foot gardening, and lots of science with everything that's happening for a seed to grow. But then art, I've seen them integrate art into it many times. Language arts, they've done research with seed packets and learned about new words they didn't know, or done little writing assignments. So really every subject, it seems, can be tied back to gardening in some way if you're creative. And that's been really helpful with the schools.
These kids learn that, sometimes things don't work out, sometimes it don't work out, and how do you deal with disappointment, and and working together as a team and taking care of something. And Heather did a really cool thing, I think this year, was at Green Valley Elementary, which is another of our high need schools. She took arugula, which is a spicy type of lettuce. It's a green, and she took it through the kids through the whole life cycle. So they saw it as seeds, they planted it, then they were able to harvest it, and then she let it grow and go to seed, where it grew the seed pods. And then the kids got to save those seed pods. It was really, really cool. It was such a great a lesson, that she was able to give them in the garden.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of different life skills and ideas that come together in that education programming. Thank you. All right. Any other last questions? And we'll share contact information if things come up and you all want to brainstorm and talk more. All right.
Thank you so much for having us, Julie. Julia, I always love getting the chance to share about our work.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all so much. And we're gonna let me get my screen back here. There we go. We're just gonna wrap up here in the ways that we normally do. Again, thank you all so much for attending and for our wonderful presenters for speaking. The meeting minutes will go out in the next week or so, and there'll be information on updating your SNAC member profile. If you are a SNAC member or you would just like your information on our website, please let us know. Lindsay, you have a question.
Yes, you can go ahead and finish if you want. I can just do like maybe a closing remark at the end.
Sounds good. Yeah, so if you would like to update that profile, just let us know. That is one thing I'm going to work on before I depart, is making sure all the website and everything is updated. As I mentioned before, we are going to be having our SNAC newsletter still monthly. So if you have information that would be important to go out to the group, please email info@indianasnac.com. You can also CC Amy Rupp on that just so she sees it come into her inbox as well. And then, yeah, if you weren't on for the first part of it, my last day with the state is on August 18th. So all information and communication will go through Amy Rupp, and she will be sending out information on webinars and things that are going on. So we will be keeping the quarterly meetings. So November 1st is when our next meeting will be. We'll keep it for an hour and a half for now, but if it comes up that we were only able to secure one presenter, we might bring that down to an hour. So thank you all so much. And I will give it over to Lindsay, and then Michelle, we'll go over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a minute here to publicly acknowledge Julia on this meeting. So this is her last quarterly meeting as one of our SNAP Ed coordinators, and she spent a few years with us and has worked really hard along with Amy on getting the SNAC, the committee really a lot more engaging and presenting a lot of great material for everyone. So on behalf of Naima and myself, we just want to publicly thank Julia for all of her hard work. We're going to miss her greatly on our team and wish her good luck on getting her PhD. So very excited for Julia's next adventure. And again, just want to say thank you for all of your hard work, Julia.
Oh, thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that. I'm going to miss you all a lot. It's going to be, like I said, it's bittersweet, but it is exciting too. All right. Michelle, did you have something you wanted to mention?
No, we need to end on that. But I do have an update I'll just send you, Julia, if you want to add it to the notes, just on legislative piece in regards to GusNIP and the Farm Bill as well. I think it'd be really great information to share, but also just like thinking like the 8 or 9 organizations in Indiana that actually supported the act, the Expansion Act, and that was just introduced and stuff too. So I'll send that to you. But yeah, I don't want to end on that. Concurred to Lindsay when she said with you, Julie, you've done an amazing job.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. And yes, absolutely. If you just want to send that to me, we can get that out in the next week. And I appreciate you all. Like I said, please, if you have any questions, stay in touch. I'll send out an email that if you have anything that you want to mention. But thank you all so much. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you and just getting to know about the amazing things you all do in your community. And thank you all for all of the hard work you do to support your communities. It means a lot to us, and you do such great work. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.